So as a photographer, as a content creator, I'm always looking for the most efficient gear. And I mean, if I can take two lenses and find one lens to replace those two lenses, that's definitely what I'm gonna do. That's what I want to look for. But you don't want to sacrifice too much in terms of performance or, whatever you're looking for. And of course, there's the right tool for the job. You can't replace a lens with a macro lens. Like if you need a macro lens, you need a macro lens, and there's just no replacing that. If you need a telephoto lens to shoot birds, you're not gonna find the perfect lens to do macro and birds. There's just no such thing exists. But you can find lenses these days that do a heck of a lot, like an all-in-one type of lens. But when you hear that type of thing, you know that there has to be sacrifices. So I'm really happy to share with you the one lens for me, the lens that's really replaced a lot of lenses in my bag. And I mean, I've sold lenses because of this, and I really haven't been able to do that in the past. And I haven't been confident enough to do that in the past. And I'm somebody who's lucky enough to get to play around with a lot of lenses, a lot of gear and whatnot. So I go through a lot of stuff and I like to hold on to things. I'm a collector, you could call it. But this lens has totally changed the game, and its optical quality, its performance in terms of autofocus, and its ability to be that one lens without being such a huge burden is just game-changing. You probably know about this lens. I've talked about it before. If you don't, it's the Tamron 35 to 150 f2 to 2.8 right here. This beast has completely changed the game as far as I'm concerned. This is my favorite lens. I gotta say, it spends the most time on my camera, and it's just so incredibly versatile. It's mind-blowing what this thing can actually do. And yes, it comes at a price, but what doesn't? It's a Tamron lens, so it's typically gonna be cheaper than a Sony or a G Master. And you do get a fantastic long warranty, which is great. And it comes at a fraction of the cost that a Sony lens of equivalent nature would cost. And I wanted to quickly just break down the reasons that I was comfortable enough to part with my other lenses that I've had for many years, because this thing just is equal or in some cases even better than those lenses were. So as you can see here, it's not a tiny lens. It does have some heft to it. It's big, but it's not as big as you would really think for what this thing is capable of. Now let's have a quick comparison between this lens and say a typical 24 to 70 here. This is the old chunky Sigma DGDN, which is just a classic, fantastically sharp, great performing lens. And as you can see, it's really not that much bigger, right? It's not a huge difference. And in terms of weight, yeah, this one's got a little bit over it, but it's nothing hugely groundbreaking. So in terms of the size and the weight of this thing, I think it's completely reasonable. And for the aperture and the quality that you get out of this, I would have expected this to be quite a bit bigger. And I have done a comparison between several outstanding lenses in terms of the optical performance and the clarity that you get out of this thing. I'll link that up there for you. You can check that out because it just absolutely blew me away. But the versatility in the focal range is just where this thing stands completely apart from any other lens that I've ever used. Now 35mm is a great focal length here. I'm shooting on it right now. This is what 35mm looks like. And again, you can go all the way down to an f2 to get a really nice, beautiful autofocus background. It's gonna be great in low light. And in terms of shooting inside here in the studio, it's gonna be ample wide enough for the majority of stuff that I shoot. I find myself using the 35mm focal length, even if I was shooting on a 24 to 70, I kind of zoom in a little bit most of the time to get some nice compression and whatnot. But the ability to take that 35 and go all the way out to 150mm with an f2.8, making that an incredibly capable portrait lens, wildlife lens, throw it into crop mode and you're out to 225mm. So this thing is just so incredibly versatile, and I'm gonna say that this is, for me, the best lens ever made. And that's a bold statement. And of course, again, there's no replacing some lenses. It's not a macro lens. It's not a telephoto lens to shoot birds, 300 meters away, but it is the most and the best performing all-in-one versatile lens that I have ever got my hands on. And I am just thrilled to own it. So do I recommend it to you? Absolutely, of course I do. It's worth every single penny. It's still hard to find these days because, like most things, they get snatched up if they're worth anything. What else can we say about this thing? Let's leave you with some photos and some videos and kind of go into a little bit of a deeper dive about how this thing performs. And here's an autofocus test that I did in my original full in-depth review. This was using my Sony a7 III, and this was wide open at f2.8 at 150 millimeters. It performed extraordinarily well, with only a few shots at the end missed. I did nail the last one, but this is a fairly demanding test, so I was very impressed with this. Since then, I've upgraded to the a7 IV, which is miles ahead in terms of autofocus, and I have not been disappointed. It is a phenomenal performance with Tamron's VXD focusing motors. It's very quick and absolutely no complaints. And here's a look at some focus tracking and eye autofocus shot on the Sony a7 IV. Yes, it does keep up just fine, and I've also tested this lens on the Alpha 1 with absolutely no issues. Those VXD focusing motors are fast enough to keep up with the best technology to date. Here's the end result, revealing a very high keeper rate. And don't discount this lens for video either. It's very capable, completely silent, and it's going to work just as well in terms of video as it does for photography in my experience. Here's a low light stress test showing you the incredible accuracy even in horribly lit situations. And there's another awesome feature of this lens that's available through Tamron's utility software. Just plug your lens into your computer or open Tamron's app. From here, you'll be able to customize those focus set buttons to do incredible things, including the ability to assign a specific function from your camera, a focus preset, change your A to B focus with just one click, change your ring function from focus to an aperture ring, and overall have more and easier control over your camera and lens. You can also dial in your manual focus settings to your likings, including linear or non-linear operation, as well as the direction of focus. You can also easily and quickly update your firmware. This is an easy and very convenient software that anybody can use, and I think an underrated feature of the newer Tamron lenses. And let me know your thoughts about this lens down in the comments. Let me know if you're considering it, and if you are, what do you do? Are you a hobbyist? Are you a professional? Because I'll tell you what, this is absolutely a professional caliber lens at the cost of definitely not a G Master of the equivalent nature. This thing in Sony would be, I don't even know how much. It would be insane. So absolutely capable for weddings, for wildlife, for portraits, for everything. All in one, it's the best lens out there, and I completely stand by that statement. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments, guys. If you did want to pick it up, I'll try and find it for you. I'll drop affiliate links down there. And if you do own it already and you're just watching this video for fun, let me know your experience with it. Are you thinking the same thing? Are you super happy with it? Or have you found things that you're not super excited about? Anyways, let's leave it at that, guys. Thanks so much for watching this video. Now you know what my pretty much most used lens is, and my favorite lens to date. I think Tamron is absolutely killing it with the lenses that they're bringing to the table. I can't wait to see what they come out with next, guys, and I think these as a whole are just absolutely slam dunks in terms of value for money and performance and whatnot. You can't go wrong. Anyways, like always, make mistakes, be yourself, and get out there and take some more pictures. See you in the next one.